What's going on, everyone? My name is Ovi and welcome to a special video on the channel. Today we've got a special guest. We've got Mike. Hey bro.
How are you doing, man? The season has arrived. Are you ready?
Man, I wanted to say we've got Dirty Mike with us, but that's not a thing anymore, is it?
I was waiting. I had a feeling that, because we're recording this so early in the morning, my time, I was like, he's about to hit me with the dirty, clean Mike one time. But,
nah, it's only Mike, nice and clean right now. And we're gonna talk about FIFA 19, guys. Mike has been at the game capture event by EA.
Absolutely. I just got back from Berlin, and I had the pleasure of playing the game. Throughout 3 days, we're looking at about 50 hours, 50 to 60 hours. So I've put a lot of time.
Did you get any sleep?
No sleep. I didn't do anything in Berlin. It was only for the game, man. I was dedicated. I've been to Berlin before. I'd like to go back, but in this trip, I mean, we were just inside in the warehouse grinding.
Okay, let's get to the important stuff. Let's see exactly how the game has changed and what is, in your opinion, the biggest difference between 18 and 19.
Well, first off, the game feels different, which, in my opinion, is a good sign. Just because FIFA 18, I felt it really lost steam quickly in terms of a gameplay title. I mean, we both know firsthand as guys that are creating tutorials and giving tips. I just felt like FIFA 18 died a lot earlier, and it wasn't just because the likes of Fortnite getting more popular, but rather that people had trouble grinding the game, or the great game turned into a grind. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me, but that's how I kind of felt with FIFA 18. And in FIFA 19, we've got a lot more manual offense and manual defense, which is a good sign.
I saw that tweet from you. I was extremely curious to hear more about the manual defending and the manual attacking. You were, I don't want to say not complaining. You were saying that it's far more difficult now maybe to aim the shot. It's not that automatic as it was.
Absolutely, and I'm good with that. As someone who comes from the professional scene and esports and wanting to see skill gaps and that level of progression, more manual anything is almost always good for guys that invest that amount of time and are also skilled at the title. You want to receive that advantage. You don't want it to be all about the AI defending or getting assisted help offensively or defensively. I do want to put out one disclaimer. It is still very early, and I feel like until we play a lot of competitive games or weekend leagues, we don't necessarily know how good or how bad or where a title kind of falls in between, because that's when people start to abuse what's happening, and you can really start to get into more detail and depth in terms of some of the intricacies of what's really amazing and what's really going to be a problem and needs to be fixed ASAP.
I got to play the beta. We weren't allowed to talk about it either, but I don't know, I felt like until now I think I felt like strength is much more important this year. Okay, each season the speed is like the #1 attribute, maybe at a player, but this year looks like strength is also extremely important. Your thoughts about that?
Something that's different about FIFA 19 is some of the 50-50s, some of the battles, how players bump into each other, those animations in particular. I still think speed will be #1 when you're looking at physical attributes. That's not going to change in any FIFA anytime soon. If a player's too slow, he's too slow.
Yeah.
Something else I noticed is that some players that may be kind of quick, they're a little bulky, or they're maybe a little clumsy at times, and that deals, I think, with balance and agility. So you still want to have a player that is agile, ideally, and especially this year in particular, because what the biggest change I noticed between like skillful players and then maybe guys that have good stats but don't necessarily have the skills is their execution of being able to kind of be dynamic. I noticed right off the jump with this new flick system that we have and skill moves in general, if you have a 5-star skiller, you will notice it. Even if you're not a skill move junkie, just the way they take down passes and some of the flair traits and what they're able to do, how they explode, I think people are going to be really excited and definitely really interested in putting a lot of time into FIFA 19 in terms of developing those skill moves and having more fun with the title. I really feel like FIFA 18 and even FIFA 17 at times, we lost some of that fun aspect, and I've never seen so many bicycle goals, so many different flick ups, and just setups that were very creative in FIFA 19 at the capture event. And EA has told me, and this is an exclusive coming to your video, EA told me, or the EA employees there that work on gameplay, so you're talking about your producers, your developers that are specifically for gameplay, said this year they're not going to have an early gameplay patch. which means that we're not going to see a new patch within the first month, is what they told me.
I remember 100% when FIFA 18 was launched. Okay, goalkeepers a bit clumsy. You got to score a lot of goals, but you know, I love the fact that defending was difficult. The skill gap was much bigger than after the patch they launched. I think that was the biggest problem maybe in FIFA 18. How about now? What do you feel about the skill gap comparing with previous seasons? So FIFA 19 versus FIFA 18.
It's so early to talk about skill gaps just because you need to have that grind, that experience. You have to play against a lot of pro players. You need to play against some of the best guys to really say, well, what's the skill gap look like, what it doesn't look like. But I will say, and I want to reiterate, that when you have more manual aspects to a video game, especially FIFA in particular, defensively and offensively, that always creates a bigger skill gap. If people ask me, Mike, what's going to make the biggest difference in terms of creating a big skill gap, it will always be how manual is the defense? Yeah, how hard is it to defend? Because you and I know firsthand, we competed in so many different tournaments, especially some of the old school FIFA installments that were really manual on the defensive end, and that was always the deciding factor between being good, being great, being a professional player.
Yeah, and I still remember, even though defending was more difficult than now, good players, great players got at a certain level where you saw only, let's say, 2-1 games, or difference of only 1 goal with few goals scored. So you can achieve a very good level at defending, even though it's harder, but it helps a lot increasing that very, very important skill gap. Mike, how about, I don't know, the most OP, let's say like that, player you've used so far? I've seen some crazy clips with Mbappe, man. Some crazy, insane clips with him.
Well, I'm going to split this up. So I'm going to talk about some of the best players that I've used, and then I'm going to go into overpowered players that I think are very useful, just because they're very different when you're looking at a guy that's high rated and performs how he's supposed to. So when you look at the high rated guys, I spend a lot of time with the new icons. Cruyff is spectacular. I'm expecting him to be used in the competitive scene. I also really enjoyed Socrates. I think Michael Ballack has good value. He has 4-star skill moves, which is something I don't necessarily think he earned, but I'll take it. Also, the likes of an Mbappe. I mean, when you look at those stats, you add 5-star skills, and I'm telling you, those skill moves matter. He might be the fastest player in the game. Even if they say there's other players that are faster, when you combine his ability to have that good first touch, to go from 0 to 100 almost instantly, and then what he can do with the space that he's granted, he's going to be a special player. Aubameyang, another very dangerous player. A guy that does have a little bit of that bulkiness I was talking about, but he has the 4-star skill moves, which it allows you to just have different executions in different moments, and having those, I guess, those dynamic plays, or having the ability to create out of nothing is so important in this FIFA, in my opinion. Now on the overpowered side, I really like Inaki Williams. He's another guy that's got a lot of size. He should be cheap coming out of the La Liga, and he has the skill moves, he has the strength, he just has a lot of stats in the right places. He's one of those guys that just fits the meta. Another guy that you should be on the lookout for is Memphis Depay, who's now a striker. He has 5-star skill moves, and he's able to do things that I just didn't expect him to be able to do, basically.
Yeah, how many stars at the weak foot? I think 2,
3.
Still 2?
I think it's 3 now, 3. But
so they got an upgrade. I saw also Salah got an upgrade to 3, so okay. That makes a player more usable, because, you know, if you get one-on-one and you've got the ball on the weaker foot, that's a big problem. The 2 stars over there are a big problem, in my opinion. What would you say about the new timed shooting? Is it a no-go? Is it too risky? Will it be, I don't know, the way to go for pro players, or will classic shooting be still the thing?
So with time finishing, I'm on the fence with this new addition in FIFA 19, and it's something that I'm working on right now for a tutorial. And for me, and I told the EA guys that were at the event, I was saying, guys, I don't know if the risk to reward is worth it if you're a pro player, if you're a competitive player. However, if you're looking for a compilation, you want to make highlights, you want a moment of greatness, 100% time finishing is going to be something you want to use. I wouldn't even recommend trying to kind of use it in the box. I feel like there's just more efficient options, because basically the way that it works is if you mistime the finish and you do it really poorly in terms of how you mistime it, you have no chance of scoring. So that's a big risk. He's just gonna like flip it over the goal and you miss your opportunity. But on the reverse end, if you time this perfectly off a volley or from outside the box, it's hit harder and cleaner than I've ever seen anybody else, or ever seen any other techniques. So you can improve from your typical long shot or your power shot or even your finesse shot from long distances or off the volley. Like I said, I mean, it's going to be a rocket. I mean, it's moving lightning bolt style. It's just a matter of how consistent can you time that finish. And it reminds me still of NBA 2K. I don't know if you've played a lot of NBA 2K, especially being from Romania. But
I didn't play a lot, but I do play it from time to time,
Okay, so something worth mentioning about the time finishing, similar to NBA 2K, is the releases. If you're playing basketball, they have releases. The same applies to when you're shooting a football in FIFA 19. Different players have different releases based on how tall they are, how quickly they step to the ball, and so forth and so on. So you would have to kind of memorize different players to be able to execute this at the maximum level of potential. So yeah, to summarize your answer, I want to see more. I mean, I gave EA the feedback. I don't know if it's going to be super relevant for the pro scene, but I definitely think people are going to use it in the casual or just the regular guys that are creating content. I'm just not sure yet on the pro scene because it's all about efficiency.
So let's say first weekend league, probably no top 100 player will be using that as it's too risky and people do not have the time to master the technique.
I disagree. I think people are going to try it early on.
They're going to make it, because it's not a qualification.
They don't know yet. Okay. I think that they're going to try it and experiment with it, and they're going to make a decision after a month if they want to use this or if they don't want to use it, because you can turn it off. Like when you go to settings, you can turn off time finishing, so you don't have to use it.
Now, at the beginning, what would you bet on the game to be? A possession style, or do you think still counter-attacks will be killers?
I think you could do either, and I know that sounds like a political.
Come on, Mike.
Let me tell you why.
Always like that. You can do either. No, go now.
Let me tell you why. Hold on, I got good reasoning here. So I'm not looking for a political or politically correct answer, but the reason that I say it can go either way is because the tactical system has changed. You might have seen this, but you are able basically to set up 4 different formations where you can switch to these formations on the fly, and that's why I say if you want to play a lot of high pressure or counterattack, you can just switch that on the fly. You can go defensive and it'll swap formations, it'll swap your tactics. And you can preset all these. Or you can go to attacking, and therefore maybe you're in a 4-2-4 and you're trying to press out your opponent. And it's going to be a little more of a direct game. Or you're either going to concede or you're going to score. And that's why I say it could go either way depending on how you want to play. For me, I just hope that we don't see a game that's going to be where you can hold the ball too easy. Passing's a little more difficult as well, so that's a good sign. And I mean, I don't know where you fall in this, Ovi, but I hated last year where it ended up being, at times at least, a battle of who could hold the ball the best.
Oh yeah, I've seen that also in the Champions Finals. Some not very pleasant moments when you could see, let's be honest, the player time playing in the last 30-40 virtual minutes. That's unacceptable, and the game should not allow a player to do that. And yeah, I agree with you. It's a good thing that passing is a bit more difficult this year, because maybe we finally avoid the time playing.
Oh, they also added a new feature for the second hand pressing. So you know how you could teammate contain, which is where you're double teaming. You can now see the double teamer.
Yeah, I think I've seen this also. I've seen this already, and I think Pro Evolution Soccer already had that. I don't know if since last year, but I know that they have it today in the demo and in the full version.
I actually think EA copied Pro Evo on a couple different features. Hey, straight up.
Yeah,
the tactics, where you're able to change things on the fly. That's been a Pro Evo thing.
Man, as long as you can improve a game, I don't care. Just do whatever it takes to improve the game and make the community happy. So Mike, if you wanna add something now towards the end of the video.
I don't have anything to add. I mean, the season has started.
Obi
and I.
Guys, leave a comment below. Let us know what type of videos you would like to see us doing together. We're gonna do the tactics, right?
Yeah, we're definitely going to do the tactics
and reviews,
and talk about
formation reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you guys have other suggestions, leave a comment below and let us know. Guys, this will be all for today. Don't forget to leave a like if you've enjoyed the video on the channel. You're gonna find in the description below a link to Mike's channel. Make sure to subscribe over there. A lot of tutorials, a lot of champions videos, and other awesome stuff, even though I think you're already used to Mike and his awesome content.
Thank you for the kind words, man. I'm looking forward to us collabing on a lot more content this year.
I smiled at them and said she told me so.